G'day, it's J Thomas 1310, going to be showing you how to care and clean for your motorcycle levers. So it's a very important part of ensuring that you do get any of your motorcycle gear. It makes it sure it lasts for a long time, and also so it does actually work to the standard it should in the event of an accident. So making sure your levers are in good nick will actually ensure that does happen. So my levers aren't too bad at the moment, but there's a few ways you can look after your gear in the meantime. So if your levers aren't too bad, you can actually just sort of wipe them down from time to time just to remove bugs and things. When you've been out for a ride, it'll use a baby wipe, so you can basically use non-alcoholic ones would be preferred, as any ethanol and alcohol in the wipes will actually draw out any moisture from your lever and actually start to dry it out, which is what your cleaner usually does, which is why you always clean and then condition. So any basic stuff, when you get a bit of, I've got white scum here, so it's actually been from storage, so you can clean most of that off. I usually do like to clean them a little bit with this first, just to remove any gunk and whatnot before using your lever cleaners. So you can get a good scrub. So when your levers are actually pretty good, wipe off any bits of tar and road grime, and as you can see here, it's brought off a bit of road grime there. It'll remove bugs from drying off into your levers. But basically, if your levers are needing a bit more maintaining, so it'll determine how often you do this, depending on how you store your levers, how you keep your climate of where you live, and also the conditions that you're riding in, so such as hot sunny weather or wet riding. So with your storage, if you're keeping it in sunny hot positions, your levers will dry out and need to be conditioned more often. So if you are in a very humid area, it'll actually stay quite moist, but if it's more dry, then your levers will also dry out. So you need to keep a good healthy balance of warmth out of the sun, not too shady, because you will get mold, and once mold gets into your levers, it basically tends to ruin it. So good storage is always very important. The other issue is if you're riding in the wet, it will actually get all the oils out of your lever and actually dry it out much quicker. So if you've been in the wet, you'll need to condition it pretty soon after. And then, of course, hot sunny days will tend to dry it. So it is, this is cowhide, it's skin, so it's the same as your human skin. It'll dry out in the same conditions. So then you add moisturizers. In worst case scenarios, you can always add a bit of hand moisturizer as well. I have used that before when I was out of it and I had a dry spot. I just rubbed a bit of, make sure it's unscented stuff, because it will tend to ruin your gear, and plus you don't want to be smelling like flowers. So the first steps, good ideas, get little cotton cloths. This is a bit of Finalette actually wadding for cleaning my rifles, but I use it as a good cleaner. You can get micro cloths and other buffing cloths, and then you can rewash them and use them over and over. So the products I use is the Mother's Leather Conditioner and Cleaner. You can use any basic leather products. Some people will use waxes and like lanolin, but I just prefer to use these. It was leftovers I had from looking after levers in my car, and they've always worked quite well. Okay, so first steps to cleaning. Make sure your levers are dry. So mine are actually still pretty moist from last time I've done it. I actually haven't had them out in any too bad conditions since I've used them last. First step is lever cleaner. So always make sure your products are shaken, especially for your conditioner as well, as the oils will tend to separate and you won't get a good even mix when you're using it. Idea is not to use too much of either. If you do use too much, have a cloth on standby to wipe it off, as too much cleaner will dry it out, and then too much of the conditioner will actually soften your lever too much. So even balance of both, depending on the condition of the lever at the time and what it's been through. So if you have your levers too dry, they'll actually shrink, crack, have cuts and tears. And if you use too much of your conditioner, you'll actually stretch the lever and you'll be more open to tears around the stitching. So stitching starts to come out as the the lever stretches at the seams, because then the stitching will pull through. And having either of the lever in those conditions, in the event of an accident, it won't do its job, so it'll just break up. So you've got to keep it at that good strength so that it does what it's meant to do for. So we'll use a little bit of lever cleaner. I'll use a little bit. I won't do a whole area, it's not going to bore you doing it too much. So you can see it's bringing out a bit of road grime, that's also a bit of colouring as well. So you can start to see a bit of a difference. We'll try and get some of this whiter stuff that was down here. That was probably actually leftover residue, more so from when I conditioned last time. You can see bits around here. It's a good idea to have a second rag also to wipe off any excess as you're doing it. When you put it on, get a cloth, wipe off any excess. So there's no real time period to wait in between it, as you're doing an entire jacket and pants. Do it all in steps. So do your clean first, in parts, come through, and then do your condition. It's usually going to be all dry and at the right amount. So you can tell a big difference here compared to my other spots from where I've done the clean. So it's actually less smooth. It's a lot more rough surface than what the smoothness is around on these sections here. So that's where it's removed all the oils. So the next step, make sure your conditioner is well shaken up so that any separation of oils are all mixed back in. And of course, just go by any steps that it says on the gear that you're using. So you just massage it in. So it's the same as if you were to be, putting some hand moisturiser onto your skin. Just rub it in, work into a lather until it's all absorbed into it. Okay. So to avoid doing too much in any spot, make sure you don't just dump all the conditioner in one area and work it through, as you'll become too soft in one area. So just dab it across onto the areas you want. And just massage it in. So I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's actually brought more of a shine to the areas here compared to even other areas here, which was actually not exactly needing a conditioner as yet. So if you're storing your levers for a while and you've cleaned them and you haven't ridden in them since, just keep attention to them. Give them a condition every so often. You're probably not going to have to give them a proper lever clean, but they will get dust and whatnot and bits of moisture. So just use a baby wipe, wipe it over, give it another hit with your conditioner or your lanolin, whatever product you're wanting to use, and it'll keep them in top condition. But yes, be very aware of mould, as mould will kill it much quicker than it drying out. So if you got too much, get an extra cloth, rub off any excess. So generally, as you're progressing through to each section of your jacket, it'll have dried in, absorbed into the leather. So as you've gone through to each patch, come back, check it, just see if it feels nice and moist and soft. It shouldn't be too soft that it's going to be flexing. Just a nice colour to it. You'll be able to pick up on it. There's a big difference here I can see in the shine to this. It's very fresh here. So it's as simple as that. Do that for all your gear. Make sure you do insides, outs, any spot of your gear that's leather, and then it'll make sure that you have no dry spots, rips, tears, and you'll get a good effective time out of lifetime out of your gear. So thanks for joining me, guys. If you ride out there, stay safe and be sure to keep the rubber side down.